All right, it's 10:37, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. My name is Maria Chapman. I'm the Director of Human Resources for Anza, which really means I'm the employee representative. I'm here to work with all employees and help you with anything that you may need. I also have, a lot of you know me, but we also have some new people, so I just wanted to be sure to introduce myself. I also have Diana and Ruby, who also work in human resources. Many of you have dealt with them in different capacities. Diana and Ruby work with all of you on all the leaves, any questions about workers' comp, and different things, including recruitment, as you know. So I just want to take the time to thank Diana and Ruby for the assistance that they have given us, especially to put together these annual presentations. We also have many of the regionals here attending this meeting, so thank you very much. I cannot see all of you, but I can see some of the regionals already, and I really do appreciate including Herman being in this meeting. We have Deb, who is our asset manager as well. And I believe we also have Alicia in the meeting. I'm not going to name each of the regional meetings, but I do appreciate you supporting the annual meeting, which is important because we get to review some of our important policies. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and move along. Again, please mute yourself because that's going to make it a little bit easier to move along the meeting and finish it a little bit quicker. Any questions that you may have, please go ahead and put it on the chat. And then at the end of the meeting, we're going to review all your questions. If for some reason we don't have time or we think a question is more like individualized, we'll go ahead and contact you after the meeting to address your specific question. Okay? What else? The meeting may be around, 1 hour to 2 hours. It just depends, how quickly we can move along. The important thing is that you get something out of it, right? That you come out feeling like, okay, I understand this a little bit better. That's the main thing about the meeting, and that we answer any questions that you may have. We at the beginning of your employment, we give you the handbook and we give you all this information. But again, every year we like to review this information with you. Regionals, by the way, if you have something that you like to point out to your portfolio, feel free to unmute yourself and elaborate a little bit that I may not, I may miss. If something needs to be mentioned that you think is important, by all means. By the way, at the end almost towards the end of the presentation, Deb, Alicia are going to have an opportunity to also go through the operations theme area. So, but that's something that I'm not going to be doing. It's more going to be the asset managers. And that's pretty much it. I mean, Ruby and Diana were working on loading the 2024 handbook, which we're going to need you to acknowledge in ADP. So you will basically get an alert. Ruby, can you explain a little bit how that works?
They're going to get
that better than.
Yeah, they're going to get an alert in their tasks for a task to be completed, and it's going to be the 2024 California handbook.
Okay. And the reason we need you to acknowledge it is because there are a few changes that we're going to go over in this handbook, so that we can make sure that we know that you got the handbook. Okay. And by the way, you can print that handbook, or you can go and as you need to, you can go into ADP and pull up the handbook. It's in an electronic version, but if you need to print it, you can do that as well. Okay. So we're going to go to the equal employment opportunity. As you know, we are an equal employment opportunity employer, which basically means that we treat everybody equally. Okay, we want to make sure that everybody feels that no matter their protected class. You know, when I say protected class, I mean no matter what your religion is, no matter what your medical condition is, no matter if you have a certain sexual orientation or a different citizenship status. We don't discriminate against any of these areas. We like to treat everybody the same. It's almost, a little bit like fair housing, right? In fair housing, when you get prospects, what do? You treat everybody the same. As long as they qualify, then you rent them an apartment, right? If something is available. So the same concept. We treat all our employees the same and fair. Let's go ahead and move to the other category. We talked a little bit about that. There's different type of protected classes, and by the way, you are welcome to, if there is a topic that interests you a little bit more that I'm not covering as much as you would like me to be, you are more than welcome to go back to the handbook and look at it. And if you have questions, after you read the handbook, feel free to contact me. I'll be happy to review the information with you. Okay. Request for accommodation. Anza also offers accommodations for lactation, disability, religious accommodations. Obviously, we cannot guarantee, the accommodation, but we'll look at your situation and see if we can easily accommodate that. That lactation, for sure, if somebody needs to do lactation, we'll make sure to accommodate that. There's also this year came these specific pregnancy accommodations. So if somebody is pregnant and they feel that they need a specific accommodation to be able to do their job, obviously we want to know about it. So that's about accommodations. Let's go ahead and move along. Policy, I guess, unlawful harassment. This was an interesting one. And, for the most part, we do really, really well. In the harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. I just want to remind everybody that this includes our residents as well. If a resident, for example, is feeling harassed, they can come and talk to us, right, about it. But if you feel harassed by a resident, obviously let us know as well, by a resident, by a vendor. It is all, related. Okay, it doesn't apply just to employees. Also, just want to remind everybody that, if you are a manager and people work under you, it could be a conflict of interest, you dating somebody who's working under you. It could definitely be a conflict of interest. That's why if there's such a situation going on, we like to know about it just so we can assess it and make sure that we manage it the best that we can so that there's no conflict of interest. But I'm going to go and elaborate a little bit on this policy. Harassment situations are a little bit tricky. Sometimes if somebody's uncomfortable with a comment that somebody said, at times it could be as easy as the two employees talking about it themselves. So, for example, if somebody tells me something that I'm uncomfortable with, and I tell Ruby that made me uncomfortable, and Ruby said, I'm sorry, and then she never does it again, well, that has taken care of itself. The two people have, worked that out, right? However, if Ruby doesn't stop and I continue feeling uncomfortable because she's not stopping, she's doing it daily, she's doing it, over and over again, obviously, there's an issue that, you probably want to talk to your regional and myself about it, okay? But the thing that I want to mention is that sometimes two employees can work it out. If something makes you uncomfortable, let the other employee know, because we're all adults, right? However, though, if you're not comfortable for whatever reason, obviously let us know, and we're happy to interject for you. Okay. The other thing is that friendships at work. It's normal for us to, we're not robotic. And I was talking a little bit to Deb about this. We're not robotic. We develop friendships, right? Sometimes with residents, with our employees, our subordinates. And everything is great, until something happens. And because we were being friendly, sometimes an employee could determine that as being too friendly. So how do we deal with that to make sure that our subordinates, our residents, our employees are not going to misinterpret as friendship is we just keep it as professional as we can, right? Let's keep it professional because I have had situations at times where somebody was just being friendly, but the other person thought they were being too friendly. So sometimes, for example, it's somebody's birthday, you go and you give them a hug, right? Or somebody's not feeling well, and they talk to you about a personal issue. I know I have had personal issues that sometimes I talk to my coworkers, right? And although it'd be nice to get a hug, I really try to refrain from doing that because sometimes that could be misconstrued. So the rule is, don't hug people because you don't want it to come back to you and said, hey, she touched me inappropriately. Okay. Obviously, the other thing, once somebody tells us that there was some form of inappropriate behavior from the other person, whether it's, like I said, a vendor, an employee, a resident, we need to be careful because once they tell us, if an employee let us know that something's going on and the manager now retaliates against the employee, that is against our policy, But when an employee has a concern, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's harassment, but it's a concern that they have. And when they bring concerns to our attention, we will look into it right away. We will look into it, find out what happened, and then get back to the person who basically raised that concern. And sometimes it's an easy fix. Sometimes, I get a lot of people basically saying, oh, I didn't know I made her uncomfortable. I didn't know I made him uncomfortable. I didn't mean to upset them. Sometimes it's a matter of communication and just clarifying things. But remember, if we don't know about it, if you don't tell us, we can fix it. That's why this policy is important. If there's a concern that you have about yourself, about another person, something that you observe, let your manager, let your regional know, let me know so that we can look into it and do something about it. Okay? So please, if something comes up, we like to address it right away. Ruby, Diana, is there anything else that I want to mention regarding this policy?
No, Maria, I think you pretty much covered it.
Okay. Very good. Like I said, if there's any questions specifically, because sometimes, once we have these meetings, we generate questions about a specific subject. So if there's a question that you have about any of these areas, by all means, please let me know. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the timekeeping. This is an important one, everybody. I just want to remind everybody that Anza pays for all time work. It doesn't matter. Now, there's a few of you that may be what they call exempt, which means that you don't get paid by the hour, you get paid by the week. Okay, so these applies for people that are hourly. Okay, mainly. But Anza pays for all time work. No exception. Somebody calls you after work hours. You need to get paid for that. You are basically closing the doors after work, hours. You need to get paid for that. You attend to an emergency after work hours. You need to get paid for that. There's no such a thing as you working off the clock. There's no such a thing. Or you working later and not getting paid overtime if you already worked your 8 hours, and working later and coming in the next day later to make up for that time. There's no such a thing. We pay you from the time that you clock in to the time that you clock out. Does that make sense? Absolutely no exception. We cannot ask anyone to clock in and out for you. Employees should be clocking in for themselves. Unfortunately, we have had a few situations where people are clocking in from their phone, but guess what? They're not at work. We have had those type of situations, and that's completely against our policy. We like to give you flexibility to clock out, from your phone because sometimes we had issues with the internet or the not enough computers. So we like to give you flexibility, but we want to let you know that it is totally not acceptable to clock in for anybody else. Okay? You must be at work when you clock in. Overtime, Anza pays for absolutely all overtime. So anything over 8 hours in a day is definitely overtime. No exceptions whatsoever. Please, we really appreciate when you work overtime because we know that you're going over your 8 hours. You have personal needs that you need to meet, kids, family, personal, commitments. So we appreciate it. But please help us get approval and get a PO from your regional when you're doing the overtime. Okay. Also, part-time people, the people that are working part-time, you still need to get authorization for additional hours because some of you may work, 20, 29 hours as part-time, so you're going to work more. Make sure that you let your regional know. Again, there's no such a thing as calm time, that you get paid from the minute that you clock in to the minute that you clock out. So basically the way it goes is you clock in, right, when you start work, you clock out when you go to lunch, you clock back in when you come back from lunch, and you clock out when you go home, okay? And if somebody calls you after work hours, you're handling anything after work hours, you must get paid for it. If you have any type of questions regarding that, I need to know right away after the meeting, okay? Let's see, staff work schedules. Any changes to your work schedule, so please make sure that they're approved by your regional and asset manager because sometimes we have found out that the schedules have been changed and sometimes that could be doable, but you need to get it approved by your regional and asset manager. Let's go ahead and move along. Okay, ADP clock in and out. We already talked about, clocking in 4 times. The boarding employees not so. Okay, so just remember, that, if somebody's using the Miss Punch report as a, recording of their daily hours, that's not acceptable. We want you to use, if you're not a floater, we want you to use the ADP timekeeping application. Because sometimes we find that people are basically using the Miss Punch report as a way of recording their hours. And the Miss Punch report is mainly to be used as an exception, right? When you make a mistake here and there, okay? Or maybe to include time that you did like after work hours, okay? Managers, talking a little bit about the Miss Punch reports, let's make sure that any changes in the Miss Punch report, they're transferred to ADP so that all employees are getting paid accurately. That's what's important, that you approve it, but most importantly, it's important that the employee approve their time record in ADP because they may be able to see something, that they're missing something and let you know ahead of time so they can get paid accurately. I mean, we have issues here and there, with the time not getting transferred to ADP immediately, but we haven't had that type of situation for a while, but just as a reminder. The Miss Punch report, please turn it in. Turn it in on time to Sandra. Okay, even if there's no exception, Sandra still wants the Miss Punch reports turned in. And just remember, in order for us to make any type of changes in the ADP time record, we need to make sure that the employee has initialed the Miss Punch report. Super important. We cannot make any arbitrary changes without the consent of the employee. Let's see, we already talked about that. Emergency code, the emergency code. I don't know, we may have new people here, but if you need a little bit of training on how to do the how to code work that is being done as an emergency code, let us know. We're happy to train you. You can also call Sandra. She can also show you, but we're here, to help you as well. But only remember, if somebody gets an emergency call, let's say they get it at 7 p.m., right? It's an emergency call. So remember, if they're coming from their home, we're going to pay them from the time that they leave their home. right? That we're going to pay them for the time that they leave their home to the time that they return to their home. That's the time that we're going to include in ADP. So, for example, if somebody took an hour from the time that they left to their house to the time that they went back to their home, if that's an hour, you're gonna put in ADP only that hour. And I'll show you later. We're going to show you in ADP how to do this, okay? But you only put that hour. You code it as an emergency call, and Sandra will make sure that the employee gets paid the following hour too. They get paid a minimum of 2 hours. So that may sound confusing without showing you in ADP. So we're going to show you, okay? So just remember, this is very important. And the other thing is, somebody's coming, if they don't live on site and they're driving, we need to make sure that they get paid for their mileage as well, okay? Their mileage. This is something that has caused a little bit of confusion at times, so we're happy to, to clarify this a little bit more after the webinar. Meal period waivers, part-time employees. If you don't work more than 6 hours, it is important that if you don't want to take your meal period, which is 30 minutes to an hour, that you have a meal waiver. If you have not signed a meal waiver, you still need to take your meal period. Okay. Just remember, guys, if you have an employee who's working 10 hours, but no more than 12, they're also qualified for a second lunch as well, okay? But you can waive a second lunch if you work 10 hours. If you work more than 10 hours, you can waive the second lunch if you've taken the first, okay? So I just want to be sure. For the most part, unless we have, obviously sometimes we have emergency, for the most part, we don't have people working more than 10 hours, but if we do, we need to keep this in mind, that they are entitled to a second lunch unless they waive it. Okay, and they need to sign the waiver. Let's go ahead and move along. The meal periods are very important to us. Meal periods is your lunch, and the rest periods, they're the 10-minute breaks that you get. If you work 8 hours, you get 2 10-minute rest periods, and you get one lunch period of an hour. Okay, all employees that are hourly must start their lunch period before the end of the 5th hour. Okay, otherwise, ADP is automatically going to pay you a premium hour if you go over the 5th hour. Most of you already know that, I think. You are welcome to leave during your meal period and your rest period. You are absolutely free to do whatever you like. You can leave the premises. Please don't answer the phone. This has to be completely duty-free. You cannot be doing any work. Okay, and if you take your lunch late due to a work-related emergency, please get a PO. We know that emergencies do happen, or somebody may walk in and you may need to handle it. So be sure that it is only an exception. It cannot be a daily practice. Again, if you work more than 10 hours, but no more than 12, again, a second lunch applies unless you waive it. And let's make sure that the meal periods and the rest periods, again, they're with 0 interruption. Okay, let's go ahead and move along. Meal period. If you work 6 hours or less, you need to take a rest period of 10 minutes. Okay, so even somebody working 3.5 hours, they will need to take 10 minutes, right? But somebody who's working 8 hours, they will need to take 2 10-minute rest periods. When do they take them? Typically we like to say in the first 4 hours, they take 10 minutes. On the last 4 hours, they take another 10 minutes. And no, you cannot combine them, because I do get that question like on every annual meeting, but no, you cannot combine the 2 rest periods. Okay. And again, the rest periods, but must be relieved of all duty. Okay, let's go ahead and move along. Okay, so there's a few things that we want to mention that you already know, but let's go ahead and go over it. For full-time employees, you get 8 holidays, you get 10 sick days, you get 10 vacation days, and up to 2 safety days, right? Some of you get up to 2 safety days. For part-time, basically you get, this is a little bit new, part-time people get up to 6 sick days, okay? And part-time people also get 2 safety days. The holiday schedule, if you want to know exactly which are the holidays, is an ADP, so you can understand. I mean, the next one is coming up, I think we're going to have a holiday on the
President's Day.
Thank you.
Maria.
Thank you. President's Day, exactly. So that's coming up. And we have bereavement leave. You can take up to 5 days, you know, in Anza pays up to 2 days. Of course, you have to qualify for that. So if you have any questions about that, there's also in the handbook. It's good to take a look at that. Go ahead and move along. Vacation, sick time, managers need to approve all time off. You know, when somebody is requesting time off, obviously you cannot take vacation that you don't have. Okay, there may be exceptions, but for the most part, you know, we do have very important operational needs. So please give us as much time as you can to take your vacation. If you can give us 30 days, that's kind of what we prefer. You know, the more time you give us, the better it is, so we can plan accordingly. Leaves, there are so many leaves that we have available for you to take. Obviously, you know, we need to qualify the leave. So, for example, if somebody needs to take a pregnancy leave, somebody needs to give us documentation, and we'll work with you. But once you know that one of your employees or yourself, you're going to need to be out, then let us know so that we can give you all the information that you need to know about your benefits, how it works, whether it's going to be paid, not paid, how sick time works, how vacation works. There's a new leave that came about it's called new reproductive loss leave. So that applies to pregnancies, miscarriages, etc. So again, that is in your handbook as well. Okay? So tons of leaves that you may qualify for. Okay? Employer referral program. I'm going to let Ruby or Diana talk a little bit about that.
Okay. I'll talk briefly about it. I think that everybody's pretty familiar with the employee referral program, and many times, you know, we'll have promotions, and actually we're about to start another one soon. But pretty much we want to just let you guys know, we do post our flyers on the homepage, and we do have a link on the homepage where it shows you all of our current openings. I'm going to go in there really quick just to show you guys where it's at. Sorry, 1 second. Just briefly. So of course you guys can see the flyer there, but we do have a link towards the bottom where it says recruitment. It has.
We cannot see the flyer.
You can't see my screen?
I cannot see it.
We see a Zoom screen.
Okay, hold on then. Can you see it now?
Nope. If you give access to Diana, maybe she can bring it up.
Somebody's sharing their screen. Hold on. Let me see who's sharing it. Somebody was sharing it. Sorry, I'm not sure who that was.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Let's do this again. Okay. Can you guys see the screen, my homepage
Yes,
now?
we can. We can
Okay.
see it now.
Perfect. So I'm not going to really talk about the whole homepage. I just want to talk a little bit about where you can locate our current openings. And it's in the homepage. We have the flyer here. And again, we're going to have another promotion starting tomorrow. So we'll have that available for everybody. So feel free to send us your referrals. But what I wanted to talk just briefly was this recruitment section here. We have the open positions. So if you click on this, it'll take you to our career center, And then you can actually share the link from this page to whoever you are going to refer for that specific opening. So just, anybody that you guys think are qualified individuals that have the skills or the capacity or that are interested in getting into property management, feel free to let us know, send us a resume, send them the link. And remember, we have that referral promotions, especially take advantage of those who, we all need that little bit extra money. So let's just make sure that we're hiring people that we are comfortable with, that we know are qualified and that are looking for something to maybe expand their career or, for some stability that you know will be reliable as well. So here's the current openings, and you'll be able to just share the link through here. That's pretty much all I wanted to share on here. Okay.
Very good. The other thing, just remember, I just want to remind, let's go back to a relative cannot work, for the same manager. So, for example, if I have a cousin and I'm the manager, it's probably a conflict of interest for the cousin to work with me, with my cousin to work with me. So we're very careful, with when we refer people. We like to take a look at different people, and your referrals are great. Just, we cannot, we have to kind of minimize conflict of interest. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Absenteeism and tardiness, obviously give the manager or your regional a heads up, let them know at least 30 minutes, but if you know before, let them know that you're going to be late or that you're going to be absent. Texting is fine, just make sure that it is your responsibility that the manager originally gets the text. Because sometimes people say, I text you, but the regional manager never got the text. So let's make sure that it's your responsibility that they got it, okay? And give him a heads up, please. Okay, moving along. Company policy, cell phones, only authorized employees such as floaters can use their cell phones. Sometimes, as you know, you can see some employees are using their personal cell phones for personal phone calls during work hours. Please, please, please refrain from doing that. Use your cell phone during your lunch or your rest period, so that we don't have to interrupt our operations. Company keys, please, please, please make sure that employees, the techs, anybody taking in unit keys, they're returning the keys right away. Okay. Resident files, please make sure when you leave the property that the files are completely locked away. Driving for company business, everybody that drives for the company to either do deposits or just trips to Home Depot, etc., you must have a driver's license that is active and insurance as well, okay? And please, by all means, do not use your cell phone while you're driving. If somebody calls you from work, please pull to the side. That's the safe thing to do, okay? Let's move along. Company policies, mileage. There is a new rate that started January 1st. It doesn't go to December, guys, because some people have been calling us to use the new form for things that happened in 2023. That's not the way this works. The new rate begins on January 1st this year. Okay, so let's make sure that we use the right forms. Ruby later will be going in ADP and showing you where the forms are, but let's make sure that we use the new rate. Okay, and submit it, please. If you don't submit your mileage, especially if you know you have floaters and they're not submitting anything, you know something's wrong there, right? We have to pay them for their mileage. There's no questions about that. So if you know you have a floater and they're not submitting anything, or if you know that an employee went somewhere and they're not submitting anything at the end of the year, at the end of the month, that's a problem. The dress code, just remember, we don't want you to have a trip and fall. Just wear comfortable shoes, professional attire, because you are dealing with a public. So just as long as you're neat and well groomed, that's important. Smoking, please only use the designated areas, and it does not allow employees for an extra break. Just remember that. Okay, just because somebody smokes doesn't allow them to take extra breaks. let's go ahead and move along to the next
Maria, I
policy.
just wanted to make a comment regarding going back to the mileage. So I get this a lot, I guess lately because I've been taking care of it. So managers, if you guys know that your staff has been, like Maria mentioned, have been driving for company reasons for whatever, hardware store or whatever it is, then please remind them or ask them to submit the mileage. Lately, I've been getting calls about employees submitting it for 6 months, 7 months. And then at times, unfortunately, when we ask, if they have a copy of the mileage form, they don't. So that's another thing. We need to remind them to maybe to make a copy of their mileage form before they submit it for reimbursement.
That's a very good point. Thank you, Ruby. Thank you very much. All right, let's go ahead and move along. Company policies, alcohol and drug policy. Okay. Obviously, anything that is going to alter your performance on the job while you're on the job is something that is not acceptable during work hours, right? Obviously, we cannot prohibit you from drinking a glass of wine after work, right? That's your prerogative. We cannot prohibit you from using cannabis after work, right? We cannot prohibit you. But if you come to work and you have signs that you may be impaired to perform your job, we have every right to take a look at that and say, we may need to test you. This is something that we're concerned about. Managers, if there's ever an issue about that you're not sure, that you're seeing that there's, obvious signs of impairment, please let your regional know right away and we'll coach you. Don't take matters into your own hands because this one's a tricky one. Sometimes, identify whether somebody's impaired or not could be tricky. So, but as you know, using cannabis in California is totally illegal. However, though, we have every right as an employer that if you're being impaired to perform your job, that's something we definitely look into right away. Okay, so just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that, because with this new law that passed, where there is cannabis is legal, some people are not clear how that works. But as an employer, if somebody looks impaired, we have every right to send them for testing. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move along. Reminders, days off when we're sick. Again, this goes back to everybody getting paid for any time that somebody calls you. So when you're off, we prefer not to call you on your day off, on your vacation or sick. But if we do call you, make sure that you get paid. Same thing applies to your employees. Okay. When managers are off, typically regionals take the phone calls, but we understand that sometimes the managers are the only ones that know certain information that was pending from the day before. But if you do call them, make sure that you put it on ADP. Performance issue, please, managers address them anyway. I know that this meeting we have managers, we have assistant managers, and we have office staff here. But managers, when there's issues, don't ignore them, especially that people are, new. If you're seeing that they're not able to get along with people, they're coming in late consistently, that you're seeing a lot of red flags, they're constantly on their phone, they're not understanding things that you're explaining to them like 3 times. It's time to basically talk to your regional about that. There's some concerns, okay, so we can address them right away because we need to document it. All right. Commissions, please, turn the commissions with the regional's approval timely. There's a time limit that we have to pay these commissions, and we want to be in compliance, and it's fair that your leasing people get paid right away. So if we don't get them on time, we cannot pay you. So it is important that, leasing people and whoever is eligible for these commissions, put them in and turn them in on time and get your regional to approve them as well. Okay. As you know, all of you should have received the new posters, the 2024 labor posters. If you haven't, please let us know. On the tours, I went to a couple of the tours already last week. I was able to check that the new posters were replaced. So if you haven't received them for whatever reason, please let us know. Ruby and Diana can help you with that. Okay, but it's very important because it's the law. All right. ADP homepage, I'm going to let Diana and Ruby basically talk a little bit about this is a resource for you, and we want you to take advantage. Most of you know how to use all the forms that we have in ADP, but we like to give you a little bit of a refresher course, if you will.
Yes. Can you guys see my homepage, Maria?
Yes, I could see it. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay. So like Maria was saying, I'm going to briefly go through the homepage. I mean, I hope that everybody finds this useful. We work really hard just to provide, any updates that are happening, any meetings that are coming up like this one. Again, the flyers for the recruiting, safety tips, and just a bunch of things that we put in here. If there's something that you are specifically looking for and you don't see it, let me know. Maybe there's a different section where we have it. But the main things that I wanted to touch base off of was some things that you guys will use maybe throughout the week or on a daily basis. So for example, I wanted to just talk a little bit about the recruitment section. And I briefly talked about it previously. So this is where we have our open positions. We even have a video that shows you how to use the applicant tracking system. So if you are a new manager and you have an open position and you've never used the applicant tracking system, I know it can be a little bit tedious or confusing, but we do have a video that explains everything thoroughly. Or if you find it easy and to maneuver the module, then that's great. And you guys can always reach out to me or Diana or anybody in HR if you have any questions on that. We're going to talk about our quick links and the payroll corner. So I'm going to go under quick links really quick. We have a section where you can view your enrollments of what you are currently enrolled into your medical documents. You can't make any changes, but you at least can see what plans you are currently enrolled in if you are participating in the plans. We have our company policies. We have tools references. I'm going to go ahead and open up the tools references. And in here, over here towards the left, you'll be able to see the benefit information. So if you want to know what's the phone number to Aetna, what coverage we have for dental and for vision, you'll be able to find this information in here. We also have a benefit contact card. So if I click on that, it'll give you the contact information for our couriers. So you guys can print this out, put it in your wallet, take a picture, put it in your phone. It is very useful. Okay. We also have the Solution Center, which is our brokers. If you have any questions regarding changing your doctor, or if you have a specific doctor in mind and you want to know if they're in the network, you can contact the Solution Center. We also have a flyer here. We have the phone number. They're available from Monday through Friday. And, you guys can ask them any questions regarding the medical plans. Towards the middle, we have the Employee Assistance Program. So this program is 100% confidential. This is where employees can reach out to this hotline if there's any family concerns, if we're going through any financial issues. If unfortunately somebody has just recently been through grief or loss, there's counseling available. And I believe the first few sessions are at no cost. And then, of course, there is a copay. But again, this is 100% confidential. I've used it before, and it was a great resource. It was regarding a legal document that I had questions on, and I had no idea how to obtain it. And they were able to give me insight and information on it. So feel free to reach out. Again, they are available, and then it's 100% confidential. If you have questions on Medicare, we do have a designated representative from our brokers, our Clevenants. You can contact them. We have the phone number and the extension here, and we also have his email. Okay. And over here to the right, it's just pretty much benefit notices, a bunch of legal stuff that we have to provide to you guys. So feel free to, open those up and download them if you need them. I'm going to go back to the homepage. The next thing that I get lots of questions on is Grace Hill. How do I get the link? We have the link here at your fingertips. If you click on login here, it'll take you directly to the link. And of course, we all know that the password is it's the same password for everybody. It's Anza Learn, all lowercase, but we do have a unique ID. And then Diana can go into that later when she talks about Graysoap, but this is where the link is at. We then have the payroll corner, okay? Here we have tax withholdings, payment options, which means that you can set up your direct deposit and enter your bank information. We have your pay stubs and your tax statements, which now most likely, this will come in handy because it is tax season right now. And then we have forms library and then time card. Okay, so I'm going to go into tax withholdings really quick. I get calls or emails about how do I change my federal tax withholdings. This is where you can click or go into, and you are able to change your federal and your California. Just make sure that when you are making changes here, that you're aware of the consequences that can occur during tax time. So it's always good to consult with your tax prepared person. I'm going to go back to the homepage. Okay, right below that we have payment options. I'm going to click on that. This will take you to the bank account. So I have direct deposit. I have 2 accounts set up. So I have part of my money going to my main account, and then I have another one going to a savings account. So whenever I get calls about I want to change my bank account, or I got a new bank account and everything changed, that you can actually do it yourself. You go in here and you can click on edit and delete the one that's currently in there, and then add a new one. And then of course you want to notify payroll to make sure that they're aware of the changes. Okay. Then the next thing, again, I'm going to go back to the payroll corner. I'm going to click on pay and tax statements. So this is where you can get all of your pay statements, all of your pay stubs for 2024 up until 2021. So this is great. So whenever you need your pay stubs, this is where you can go. Then you have your tax statements up until 2020 as well. Okay. Another little section that we have here is paperless. If you or your staff are receiving the paper statements still and you don't need them because you have direct deposit now, so when you have direct deposit you don't even look at your pay stub at times, then go paperless. Let's save some trees and turn that feature on. You already have your pay statements available here. There's no need to still receive the actual paper statement unless you want a physical paper statement for some reason. So that's it regarding pay information. The next thing that I wanted to show you guys is the useful forms. So I'm going to go into Payroll Corner and Forms Library. This is where Maria was talking about regarding the timesheets, the mileage form, and also the holiday schedule and Miss Punch report. You'll be able to download all this information and save it into your computer to have the latest information. All the way to the left, we have the workers' comp information. I also get this a lot. And that's great. If you guys don't know where it's at, this is why we're going over this information. If you click on each one, this is the latest updated forms. So please, if you have old forms in your red folder, feel free to go in here and print these out and save them in there so that, hopefully there is no accidents, but if there is, you have the latest information. Okay. All righty. Let's go into. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Okay. Let's see. What am I missing here? Is there anything else that you wanted me to touch base on, Maria?
Yeah, I was talking to Diana about maybe let's do that. We're in ADP. Let's take an employee, and Diana, I think, may have one, and let's do a little bit of the emergency code. I want to go ahead and do that.
Okay. Okay. So if we're looking at February 6th, do you want to explain?
Yeah, I mean, can I don't think can I go ahead and I don't think I can, and I can go ahead and put it, but she basically, you wrote the emergency code. Go ahead and pull up the emergency code. There it is. Okay. So for example, right there, if the hours on Tuesday go from 10 p.m., go to Tuesday and Tuesday on the bottom, wherever you put the emergency code, where you put the emergency code, Ruby.
Okay, so for Monday,
right there, put 10 p.m. to let's say they took 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's their physical time that they work there. And if you code it as the emergency code, again, only the emergency code. Go ahead and call it that. Yep, there. Then, although just an hour, Sandra is going to put the rest. She's going to fill in the rest of the time. Okay? So that's the way you want to do it typically. But there's a lot of codes. Ruby, if you want to show the different codes there.
Yes.
There's different codes that you can use, and you can even make notes in there. A lot of you may already be familiar with this, but if you like to learn more about it, we're happy to go over it after class with you because I don't want to take everybody's time. But if you like to know more about it, but again, for emergency calls, you use the emergency code, and only for their physical time. Again, from the time that they left their home to the time that they went back to their home. And a lot of them live on site, you know that, right? So it would be from the time that they start working to the time that they go back to their apartment. Okay, and again, we also pay for mileage if you have to drive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Let me take a look at this here.
I just want to touch briefly. In the beginning, we mentioned that we did send the California handbook. So everybody will be getting a notification under your things to do here up here at the top. So please go in there and acknowledge it as soon as we are done with the meeting.
That's true. That's very good. Please do that. That's important. Help us out with that. And I know, Ruby, you already covered with a report to send an employee to when an employee has an accident, you know, which form they have to complete, right? It's
yes.
The accident report.
And we
not
also
to be
have
confused with the incident report, by the way. There's a difference between the incident report and the accident report. So can we show them where the incident report? Incident
yes.
reports are for things that happen on the property.
Yes, we can. So if anywhere, you can go into the payroll corner, go into Forms Library. You can go up top where it says Resources and click on Forms Library. So there's different places that you can click on and it'll take you to all the forms that everybody needs. And this is right in the middle. This is where we have the form. And we also have a presentation, Maria, that shows them how to complete this form.
So yeah, we have sometimes Yareli, who gets the incident report. She basically is asking us to remind you, to turn in the incident report on time, to make sure it's legible, make sure you send documentation. So there's information in the presentation that can help you with that. Okay, if you need to understand it a little bit more. Now, Ruby, do we want to talk a little bit about the accidents and safety? We want to talk a little bit about that. In 2023, we had about 39 accidents. And
yes.
We have about 39 accidents that many of the accidents basically had a lot to do with lifting too much, with slipping and falling. That there weren't signs available. By the way, we're going to have a rainy day, looks like on Thursday. If that's what we are scheduled to have rain. So let's make sure that we have signs and things that could prevent the slip and falls, having the right mats, to help prevent slip and falls. We also had, last year, we had a lot of accidents where people cut their hands somehow, with some of their tools. So we have to make sure to remind them to use their gloves or in their goggles. And this year, it's interesting. I don't know if you got our email. We have had 3 incidents with dogs biting some of our managers. Two dogs were basically walking, and they bit 2 of the managers because they were not on leash. So it is important that we remind them, the residents, to keep the to keep the dogs on leashes. And if you're going to send an employee, a technician, to do a work order, when there's an animal inside, a dog, we need to put it on the work order so that the technician can see it. Okay, so because we have had 3 accidents regarding dog bites this year. Okay, go ahead
Maria?
on the workers.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, sorry, I want to go back on the incident report. Just 1 second, I was going to say something. I guess, Maria, the goal for incident report is to have us within like 24 hours after the incident is happening. I mean, I guess sometimes we get incidents like after like 4 or 5 days or a week. I think, I guess we have a goal to submit to the report to the owners as soon as possible. So if it's over the weekend, then maybe we expect reports to be done by Monday, and get it to us, by the end of the day or by the day with all the reports and everything else. Sometimes I know we don't get the police incident report number if you have to involve police, but we can still do the incident report and submit it. And then later on, we can always go back and update it and resubmit again with all the details that we get and facts that we get for the incident.
Very good. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for that. Going back to the safety program, remember, stop, think, focus, and be safe. And then, of course, we have safety days available for the people that are, following our safety program. And, of course, extra safety days for the managers as well. And we have a raffle, as you know, at the end of the year for the people who are following the safety program. So please, managers, help us in your morning meetings, because everybody should be having morning meetings with your staff. Help the technicians plan their day ahead so they can reduce accidents. People doing flooring, they need to rotate, take breaks. People using, tools, make sure the tools are working, make sure that they have the protective equipment so we can reduce accidents. Very, very important. We want our employees to obviously, especially when we have so many turnovers, when we have a lot of vacancies that we need to clean up so that we can get them ready for rentals. It is important that we provide them with all the equipment that they need to work safely so that they can go home to be with their family. Okay. Diana is going to talk a little bit about the gray zone. You can do it.
Wait, Maria, I think we're skipping just a couple things. Did you want to just mention briefly about the notebooks?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So the notebooks, we have certain notebooks that you should have in each of your leasing offices. If you don't, please let us know, because we are going to be checking these as well during our tours. So the notebooks, you should have what they call the IIPP, which is the Injury Illness Prevention Program folder. So make sure that you have that. If you don't, please talk to your regional about it. You should have the red folder, which is basically for workers' comp. But if you don't, you can also use what we just showed you on the ADP website. You should also have the safety data sheet notebook, the asbestos and lead O&M, which is called the Operations and Maintenance Handbook. By the way, I forgot to mention, for the asbestos, all the certificates, we can also find them in ADP for our employees who are certified for asbestos. Okay, if you need that, you have access to print that if you need it.
Okay, I just want to mention on that, if anybody we did send an email how to locate these certificates, but if you guys don't have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, moving along. I think we cover all these things here, right, about operation. Okay, so I'm going to invite Deb, if she's still available there. We're going to be reviewing some things about operations. And, obviously, the people that are more knowledgeable are the regionals and asset managers. So I did talk to Deb a little bit about this. And Deb, do you have time to go over a little bit the operations side of it?
Sure. Just briefly, you guys have covered the incident reports. Just one thing to add is to make sure they're as detailed as possible and give your regionals opportunity to review them. It will save us all time if you're careful with your spelling and grammar, because Ureli ends up rewriting a lot of them. So that would be very helpful if you took some time and made sure that they were correct. Work orders are another area that Ureli gets involved in, as do I and some of the other regionals. If we have to present those in a legal case, they need to be detailed, and we need a little bit more than just done. It has to have a lot more detail as to what exactly the technician did, and preferably how long it took him. And if there is reason not to do complete the work order right away, please note that on the work order that you had to order a part, and it would be very helpful if you would notify the resident as to what's happening. It would save a lot of bad feelings if they know what's happening. Also, I'd like to make sure that people are, after the work is completed by your technician, somebody in the office is following up with the resident to make sure there's no issues, and if there are, we take care of them timely. Then the organic trash spreadsheet, you guys on site don't really have anything more to do with that other than keep your regional informed as to any changes in the trash expenses or requirements in your areas. Fire systems, I just would like to stress to the managers to make arrangements to have their inspections done in a timely manner so that by the time the expiration date rolls around, it's completed. I know sometimes the fire system companies don't want to come out until it's actually expiring. But if we can have it done by the end of the month where it's due, it would be extremely helpful. The next thing I want to stress is this year we're going to try and improve our payment process, and there will be an upcoming training we'll be giving to all the managers. Rebecca's put together a PowerPoint, and we'll be making those arrangements very soon. But what you need to remember is if you've incurred an expense, you must get an invoice, and it can't be 3 months later. It has to be within the same month, preferably, or shortly thereafter. And we'll go over all that in the training. But you need to become a thorn in the side of the vendor. If you don't have an invoice, call them every day until you get one, so we can make those payments timely, because they're the first ones who are going to object if you haven't paid them. So make sure you have a checklist and you follow it. Let's see. The other thing I wanted to talk about was especially the HD invoices. You should have access online to get any invoices that you may be missing. If you can't access online, let your regional know and maybe we can untangle that for you. The main thing to remember with invoicing is please communicate to your accounts payable person. Let them know you're trying to dispute an invoice, so they need to know what's happening. Also communicate with your regionals if you're having troubles getting a vendor to give you an invoice. The goal is to improve the timeliness on all our parts. So we all have to work together on that. And make sure your labor law posters are up, because we'll be looking at, especially Maria, we'll be looking at those on tour. And I don't have anything else unless one of the regionals has something to add.
Yes, Deb, I guess I've been talking to accountants. So I guess on the AG supply invoices, whenever we order items, like 10 items, and one of them goes back and we get a credit back, I guess they like to have the original invoices with the credit invoices go after. I've seen a lot of credits, but I don't see the original invoice,
Yes.
the credits. So they always ask me that, and I think sometimes we hold on to it until we get the originals for the orders. So please make sure that we do that too.
And we'll go over all those kind of details in the upcoming training. But yes, that's a good point.
And I guess again we're gonna go over, but again the important point is sometimes we get invoices for a water heater without serial number and apartment number. I mean, I guess I get the invoices and it stays on to the accountant for maybe weeks or maybe sometimes a while until we get those things back, because the accountant will no longer pay an incomplete invoices with those details. So it's very important.
Yeah, that is definitely a requirement for all the JK properties. And it's a good idea to have for the non-JK properties as well, but especially for the JK properties, we need unit numbers and serial numbers. Can't stress that enough.
That's all for me.
Anything else, Alicia?
Very, very well. Thank you very much, Deb. Would really appreciate that important information. Again, if any of the regionals would like to add anything else to the meeting, feel free to let us know. This is the time to do it.
Maria?
Yes.
I just want to remind everybody about the incident reports, where to send them, because at times they send it to the wrong person. So Yareli's email, it's corporate@anzamanagement.net. You cannot send it to the receptionist or to HR or to any other department. So it has to go directly to corporate@anzamanagement, and it has to be sent to Yareli. And just don't forget to copy your asset manager and your regional manager. And of course, again, I know everybody talked about this already, but I mean, it has to be sent to Yareli within 24 hours.
Very good. Thank you very much, Alicia. We appreciate that. Okay, so we're almost done, by the way, so that's the good news. We're going to have Diana go a little bit briefly for about 5-7 minutes through the Gray Seal and just show you a couple of things that she thinks are important. Diana, go ahead and use my computer. Diana's computer is having a little bit of an issue, so she's going to use my computer.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to go through ADP because I know a lot of you guys just go through ADP to get to the link. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So just to clarify that ADP and Gracehill are two different platforms. Okay. I know a lot of you guys access it through here, but you think that your courses are done here, but they're not. Okay. So here you're just going to have access to the link. So once you click here, it's going to route you to Gracehill, which is our platform to do our trainings, our safety trainings. So once you get here, you're going to type in the first initial of your name, your last name, and your full hire date. So it's, on mine would be 09/20/2019. Okay, no dashes, nothing, all lowercase. And everybody has the same password, and it's Anza Learn. Okay. Once you get 09/20. Okay, it's not going in.
You want me to do mine?
Yeah, what's yours?
No, let me do it.
She's not good.
Just stop sharing your screen. Okay, can you see my ADP?
Yeah.
Okay. And feel free to just explain the dashboard, Diana.
All right, let me move this so I can see clear. Okay, just scroll down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly once you reach to your dashboard, you got to look at your learning path. Okay, because this is where all your courses are, scheduled for you. If you have none, then that pretty much means that you don't have any that are due at the moment. But there is a safety course assigned to techs, custodians, juniors on a monthly basis, okay? And make sure that you are looking at due dates. Our safety courses are monthly, and they are assigned on the first of the month and end on the end of the month. So always look at these due dates. It's very important. As for compliance trainings, which is fair housing, sexual harassment, those get assigned automatically. So as soon as you take sexual harassment, by law, that is a 2-year that you need to complete it. So as soon as you complete it, like say this year, automatically it's going to assign it to be due in 2025. So it will show again on your dashboard, because I do get a lot of people that tell me like, hey, it's in my dashboard. I already took it. But if you look at the due date, it's actually 2 years from now. Or say you start a course and you tell me you already finished it, but when I go in here, when you press play to the course, and once you start doing all the courses that are within that same training, if you don't exit all the way until you get your certification, it will keep popping up. So if you just exit right when you think you ended, it will keep popping up because the system thinks that you didn't finish it. So it's important that as soon as you press play, you keep pressing next, next, next until you completely exit the course to get your certification. So that's very important, not only for yourself, for the rest of your teammates, that when they are doing their course, make sure to get to the very end so it doesn't keep popping up on their dashboard. Now, another thing that they just renewed in the platform, the dashboard, for managers, anybody who is within your property, like the custodians, techs, or anybody that is reporting to you in your property, you have access to your team. So you're going to go right here where it says new admin experience. Once you hit administration, you can go to employees, and that's where you'll be able to see everybody who's within your team, and you'll be able to see what courses they are past due, what courses they have assigned, if they have any, if they've already completed. So like that, you don't wait for us to, hey, you're already past due, you have this one still pending, so it is very important to check that as managers, maybe once a week. Try to go in there and see if any of your people are past due or what their due dates are so that you can be on top of that. Like I said, this is a new thing that all managers have access to their team within this tab right here that says a new admin experience. So again, you'll go to the left under administration to employees. And that's about it. If you want to go back to your dashboard, any courses, again, that you have assigned will be right here. And even sometimes the due dates are in red when they're already past due. Okay, so just, again, please keep an eye out for those dates. And for managers, keep an eye out for past dues on your employees. And I believe that is it. Again, if people have any issues with usernames, then if you don't remember your hire date, you can always find it on ADP as well. But if you can't get to it, then you can always just call me and I can just shoot it right over to you. But again, this is a platform that, again, it's very useful for all of us. And it's a great tool for everybody to develop their skills and stay on top of all of our compliance trainings. And also there's a lot of courses in our library that if anything, you guys want one of your teammates to take an additional course, always let me know and we can talk about that to get that assigned. And if you're having any issues with computers or speakers or anything like that, because again, Graceville does need speakers. So if we're having issues with that, reach out to your regional, see if we can get new speakers. But other than that, it's a great platform to use to develop all of our skills, to grow within our own, operation needs. So yeah, I think we're pretty good. Is there anything else you want me to?
No,
I wanted to say something. I wanted to say something real quick on the safety, since we're talking about safety. So I just want to, I think we all know we're having the in-person safety meetings. So I just wanted to make a comment that we hope that these are very useful to you guys, having these in-person safety meetings. Feel free to be very interactive with the maintenance supervisors, Herman and Jorge. If you guys have any ideas, feel free to share all that. That's what those meetings are for you guys. So we just hope that they really do help you guys out this year to minimize the accidents.
Yes, absolutely. And Herman will be having his meetings as well. So we can keep that in mind too. We want these meetings, like what we said, to be practical and useful. So the main thing, with our safety program in all these webinars and meetings and trainings is that the managers, you at the site, you're enforcing our program. And on the morning meetings, it's very important to remind our employees that we must be safe. Okay? Okay, Ruby, so you mentioned that there's no questions in the chat. So we don't have any questions. However, though, if there are questions that come up in the, after the meeting, feel free to contact me directly. You can contact Ruby, you can contact Diana, you can contact your asset manager, your regional. We are very, very happy to address any questions that generated out of the webinar. Other than that, unless the regional or asset managers feel that we should address something else, let us know. There were about 30 people, just so you know, that we are going to need to reschedule because they couldn't get into the webinar for X number of reasons. But we will be in contact with them to make sure that they attend the training. I think there's about 25 to 30 people. So we'll be reaching out to them individually. Other than that, looks like we're having a beautiful day, at least here in Newport. We really appreciate your time to review these important policies and standards, and we hope that you found this helpful. I'm going to go ahead and basically check out of the meeting. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. So don't stop under the lights when everything goes. Nowhere to hide when I'm getting too close. When we move, well, you already know. It's the legend. I can see what you when you dance.